and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
People are going to make you laugh. Not me, but people. Today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look, Rush has shown up. With Tom Sawyer, they brought Tom Sawyer with them. Mean pride. Good morning, folks. Miss me? It is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. Yesterday, by the way, we have two great comedians coming up. I just want to say that before we get started. Today, we have two of the brightest stars in comedy with us. Generally, one is enough. For you, what do you pay anyway? What do you pay to get in here? One would be enough for you. But we got two. It's very cool. Yesterday, I was in a dream state, and I thought the Civil War had started. It was a very surreal dream and very lucid dream, and it felt real. I thought the Civil War started. I heard a bomb go off and carried that into my dream, and woke up shortly thereafter feeling like maybe it was real. Maybe the war started. What's going on here? And immediately, as I do, hit the button on the coffee machine, and the light didn't come on. Panic. No coffee. The coffee machine's not working. I've been through this before. Oh, maybe it's unplugged. Check the plug. No, it's plugged in. Oh my God, plug it, unplug it. I don't know. Push the button. Nothing's happening. There's no fucking coffee. So I went to turn the light switch on, and there was no light. Oh, we blew a fuse. Okay, I'll check around another room. No, that light doesn't work either. The whole house doesn't have any power. Is something wrong? Well, yes, it could be wrong. Something could be wrong. Called the power company, and they said, you're experiencing an outage. They didn't say why. They said, we'll have your power on by 10:30. 10:30, the show's almost over. That's no good. So I went on, now I got it on my phone on Facebook, which it doesn't have Wi-Fi because the router is out. And service up here in the country sucks anyway. And the people who have a group around here, my neighborhood group, said, did anybody hear the bomb go off this morning and then everybody out of power? Apparently I wasn't just dreaming. That bomb. A transformer blew up, and we had no power yesterday, which is the reason we weren't here yesterday. It was very upsetting because Dave Landau was supposed to be the guest. Looking forward to having him on for over a month, and then the day comes, and now I got to make some excuse that I have no power in the studio, and I felt really stupid about contacting his agent and saying, can you tell Dave, sorry, but we can't do the show today. But then the power came back on, and I said to him, if there's any chance we can reschedule. I understand if he doesn't want to do it, but if he can reschedule, he said, well, can you do it today? I said, yeah, I could do it today in the afternoon, but the audience doesn't. They haven't been conditioned to tune in at 1 p.m. or whatever. So he got in touch with Dave, and Dave said he would do it today. So today we have Dave Landau, probably around 9:30, and then Sarah Tolamash at 10:15 a.m. And Willie is here now. But before I bring him in, I have to change the background here because I want to make it nice, like, and look professional. See, I didn't do it right. See, this is what I wanted to do. That's better. I
Hi.
wanted to do it right. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Well, it could be a good morning. I got to do
I think
some.
it's going to be a great morning.
Oh yeah. It could be, but it will. You're right. It will be a great morning. That's the attitude to have. It will be a great morning. Rah, 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 woo woo. Maybe. I'm having trouble on Rumble right now. So talk to me while I try to fix the Rumble problem. It's a Rumble problem.
Oh, okay. Well, I was curious. Are you going to want to do the football picks before the guests, after the guests?
Before would be best because Dave's supposed to get here around 9:30,
Okay.
which gives
Yeah.
us time to fabbly boobity beebity bobbity boom bada bim bada bip bada bop bada boop.
You know what? I was talking to my wife yesterday, and she said that I talked like that, like because I was walking down the stairs going outside, and she said that I was talking that exact kind of gibberish that you were just talking, and I didn't remember saying a fucking thing. Like,
I'm
so
wearing off on you. You're picking up a little New York bibbity bobbity boop.
I think, hey, yeah. By the way, so just so you know, do you remember like when we first started talking and I said yo to you once?
Yeah.
And you were like, don't say yo to me. You can't say yo to me.
You're definitely
Like,
you're not a yo person. Where you get off yoing?
I say yo all the time, dude, for real. But I don't know if you know
supposed
this.
to say yo.
Say what?
I'm not even supposed to say yo.
What are you talking about?
You got to be from Philly to say yo.
That's do you know where I've been? So you know where I pick it up from? I can tell you where I pick up the word yo. I blame Tony Danza and Who's the Boss because I've been saying AOOA my whole life. You know what I mean? Since the 80s, bro.
Oh, well, yo is a Philly thing. It's a
Yeah.
it wasn't Brooklyn adopted the yo, but it's not a sincere yo. We really don't. Brooklyn people don't have a right to go yoing. No yoing.
I do not agree with these ways of thinking because I'm such a I grew up in the middle of nowhere where there's like no culture, you know what I mean? There's farm culture, that's it, you know what I mean? All the personality I have was stuff that I drew from various different parts of American culture. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, American culture happens to be a lot of different fucking cultures because this is the melting pot of culture. You know what I mean? And so, I have a ton of, dude, I bet you there's a lot of like characteristics or whatever about me that are more urban or whatever. And I grew up in a town with less than 4,000 people, but most people, if they ran into me, would think that that I grew up in a bigger area.
Well, most people would think you never grew up.
That's true. That's totally fair.
You have to be careful with this melting pot thing you're talking about. You're going to end up on the same list that Louis C.K. is on this morning.
What are you talking about?
Louis C.K. is on. He's trending on Twitter
for something worse than masturbating in front of women.
Well, in the eyes of some people, yes.
This poor guy can't catch a break.
Right. What he said was he said something about open borders, where we should open our borders. Things are not supposed to be great here, and we should open our borders. And people are freaking out. He said, keeping the borders closed, according to him, is like picking on people who just want the same opportunity your people had when they came to this country. And whatever he's saying, whatever he believes, it is lighting some people on fire. Like, fuck this guy. They don't even they forgot about all the jerking off stuff. All they care
Right.
about is, he's going to turn us into a communist dystopia or whatever. So, but he's on fire right now. So you talking about the melting pot comes close to what he's talking about, how we need all these extra cultures and all these cultures that make America really spectacular is this mix of culture stuff, what you were just alluding to, is melting pot.
I mean, that's not anything that's going to go away in any kind of short order, no matter what your policy is. I mean, one of the things that I thought was beautiful about visiting Chicago when I was there a few weeks ago was I love hearing multiple languages when I walk down a sidewalk, or if I'm in like a a big shopping area or whatever, and you just one of the things that really stuck out to me about the city of Chicago is that is a city full of people being who they are. There's a lot of expressed individuality that I saw just walking around the streets of Chicago, and I love that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
They have big ditkas and little ditkas.
Yeah, some of those too. Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of dictors, you want to do the football picks first and then we'll do the news?
Yeah, sure. Yep. We can do that. So we were even. Do you know that? Did you do the totals?
So you only lost one game too? Because I only lost one game and that was my lock of the week. The rest I was perfect on.
That is not true at all.
I wrote it down. It says right here. I was perfect. Right there. It says that.
And if you say that enough times, it'll just be true, right?
Right. What I wasn't perfect.
No, we both had 7.
You're saying my mother is a liar.
I'm sorry. We both had 7 wins, 6 losses, and there was 3 pushes on this week.
Wow. Okay.
So
the push was the first push was Thursday night.
Yep.
You want to go down the Giants? The Jets. I just want to say the Jets won't go undefeated this year, obviously, but they're in second place.
Right
now, I just want to say I have a system, but I generally don't use my system until the 5th week.
Me too.
Really, I never heard that before.
Yes, I do a numbers crunch after week 5 because until I have a 4-week baseline, I really can't do my averages.
That's exactly my system. Plus, I haven't picked football in 43 years, so there's that. But so I didn't do that bad. 3 pushes, 7 wins, right? 7 wins.
Yeah, I mean we won more than we lost. That's how I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? Like we're technically in the win column right now.
Okay, so now the ones I care about: the Jets, who lost. Giants. Yep. Giants were a push, right? Or no?
Let me look here. Giants. We both won. We both won. So that's right. Yeah.
And the other one we care about is the Bears, right? That's the only other one we care about. The Bears, the big dick.
We'll talk about that. I'm pretty sure that's in my that's in my news.
All right. Well, let's. So you want to do the news now? We all caught. That's it. We just did the wrap up on football that quick.
Yeah. So we're tied for our totals. We are tied with 7 wins, 6 losses. And do you want to just keep track of wins and losses, or do you want to keep track of pushes also?
I think we have to keep track of the pushes, just so
right. Just so it's an accurate record.
Yeah, and if the pushes come out to be like significant, and I think they probably will be. That means these dealers, bookies, are fucking phenomenal at making the line.
Right. I do think I'd have to look at the Minnesota Philly one. Do you remember what the line was on that one? But I think that all the pushes were a 3-point.
No, it was 6 on the Phillies.
It was 6 on the Philly one. Okay,
yeah, and they won 34-28. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, let me play the news thing and get ready for the news. I'm a little bit behind. I am so
Did you get that
flustered
picture I
yesterday.
sent you?
Yes, I did. I'm ready with the
Okay,
news.
that'll be the last story.
Why am I so messed? Oh, here's the news. And now, the news. Oh, go. Go. You're on.
I
Oh,
never. Okay, all
oh,
right.
you were muted. You muted yourself. Hold on. You muted yourself. You muted yourself. Now. No, you're muted. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. It says right there. There. Now you're unmuted.
Okay,
All right.
but
I'm getting out of
so
here.
when you play the video, it automatically mutes me.
All right. But it will automatically unmute you when it's done playing. So you don't
Okay,
have, and if you go to unmute it, then you're remuting yourself.
okay,
It's like a big
that's
happy
where the hang.
Donald
I'm
thing
like,
there.
I gotta be able to talk. So
I know. We fucked up. We're amateurs at this. Go
Am
ahead.
I
Yeah.
okay? All right. From Foxborough, Massachusetts, longtime Patriots fan and season ticket holder Dale Mooney died Sunday night after an incident in the 308 and 309 sections of Gillette Stadium. An investigation is underway, and police do have a man in custody, although formal charges have not yet been filed. Just a PSA reminder: people from Florida be tripping. From SportsIllustrated.com, the Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields could be finding out what the bench feels like. The 0-2 Bears have struggled coming out of the gate this season, mostly due to Fields not knowing what to do with the football, as exemplified by the 6 sacks he took on Sunday. The Bears face defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, next, and it seems as though all of Chicago is ready to move on from the former first-round pick and Ohio State standout. Chicago released previously announced backup quarterback Nathan Peterman just last week, taking a $2 million shot in the process. So it looks like Tyson Bagent will be taking the snaps possibly in week 3.
Wow. That's a lot of
Yes.
quarterbacks.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's weird.
What's with this picture? What's with this picture? Is it this now? I don't know when to bring
No,
it.
the last no. I got one more story and then the last one.
This is the most amateur news hour ever. News minute. Okay, I'm sorry.
My apologies.
No, it's my fault. The technology, everything.
From the New York Post, the New York Association of Convenience Stores is taking on 3 celebrities that make it seem more like it should be settled at Madison Square Garden and not a courtroom. They represent over 7,000 stores in the New York area that are suing Snoop Dogg, Iron Mike Tyson, and Hulk Hogan for endorsing the federally banned vaping products.
Wow.
President of the NYACS, Kent Sporus, said, "Hey, you can't do that. That's not fair."
Wow.
He also went on to say, "I'm gonna go tell the government you're gonna be in big trouble."
That's right, brother.
All right. Anyway, so and finally, from Yahoo News, 2 Las Vegas men have been arrested and were in court yesterday. 48-year-old Justin Slade and 54-year-old Kyle Schertz, pictured here, face trafficking controlled substance charges from a DEA sting operation that allowed authorities to seize over 100 pounds of mushrooms and a small amount of cash.
Wow.
It's always weird for me to be in a courtroom these days, but what I wouldn't give to see Schertz talk to the judge.
That looks like.
Are you now? See how he's smoldering? Are you sure this is illegal, Your Honor?
The headphones fit perfect on him.
I know. Yeah. I really think you should just let me go.
Right. It should be like
Like I've never in my life have I seen someone smolder in a mugshot.
well,
Like,
it looked like Charlton Heston from Ten Commandments.
a little bit,
Oh, wow.
yeah, for sure. When it comes down the mountain, where's your tablets, bro?
Uh, I want to read you an email.
And that's the news.
Oh, that is the news.
Yeah.
A lot of
Read me an
quarterbacks.
email.
Yeah, I want to read you an email I got. Now, this is the typical, you'll say, as I start to read it, you'll be like, what's, but my name is Susan Clatton. I am known for holdings in Atlanta and BMW, the richest woman in Germany. I plan to give the majority of my wealth away during my lifetime. I had one idea that never changed my mind, that you should receive the wealth to help people, and I have decided to secretly give you $7.5 million in randomly selected individuals worldwide like you. The receipt of this email, you should count yourself as a lucky individual. Your email address was chosen online while searching at random. Kindly get back to me at your earliest convenience so I know your email address is valid. Please click a reply and directly. Now you know my email address. You sent me this email. If obviously you know where to find me. It's just weird that I sent you an email to make sure this is your email.
Well, I mean, I think, well, if they're sending it to randomly selected emails, that random selection could definitely select an email that someone's not really actively using.
Right.
So that's probably why they want an email sent back.
Okay.
But more so, the scammer wants to know that it's someone gullible enough to believe the email that you
Right.
received.
Yeah. What would I do with $7 million as a gift overnight? That I don't know. I would probably.
You pay a good chunk of taxes. I could probably tell you that.
Well, yeah. Would you? If it's a gift, I don't know. Aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a gift tax after a certain point. I'm sure it varies state to state or whatever. But yeah, you definitely get taxed on that, probably pretty hard. $7 million. I mean, I'm sure like the allowable gift is probably somewhat substantial, maybe not even six figures. I would get maybe 50,000. Anything over that, and the government's gonna be like, "Hey, where's our piece?" You know what I mean? Like that's how they are.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Now, in your news story, there was lots of vaping stuff. People getting upset that these guys are infringing on their vaping copyright, patent, whatever it is.
No, okay, so this is actually what the deal is. So, the products that they're endorsing are like really fruity flavored, and in
Isn't
New
that
York
true,
State
brother? You
and
gotta be
actually
fruity.
federally, what'd you say?
I said, brother, there's nothing like a fruity vape.
Yeah, I forgot what the Hulk Hogan flavor was, but yeah, no, it'd be. But they were out. The FDA outlawed these fruity flavors for these vapes, because of like they say it targets children and shit, like Joe Camel back in the day. Which, by the way, I had so much Joe Camel shit when I was a teenager because my parents were Camel smokers. So like I would get like Christmas and birthday presents from Camel Cash. You know?
Yeah. Well, I don't think kids like fruit. They like candy. They don't like fruit. I mean,
They like. I mean, yeah. I mean,
trying to get kids to eat healthy is ridiculous. Like, yeah,
well, the reason I made the joke that I did about it at the end about how like the guy is just being a baby or whatever is because like from what I was reading, what the real fucking problem is that these stores that he's representing have been following the law and they're mad that people are making money not following the law, and they're like, hey, they can't fucking do that. Like we gotta suffer and not make money off this shit. Nobody else can either. Like that's really what it sounds like the complaint is lodged for.
A lot of problems in the world. A lot of problems.
I know it's and speaking of problems in the world, real quick, is our guest here? He's not here yet, is he?
No, he's not here yet.
Okay, so I want to talk about this thing that happened in the stands. So I was careful what to say about this because somebody legitimately died. from an altercation at the Dolphins Patriots game on Sunday. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there apparently, I watched more of the story this morning before the show, and apparently the the people in question were talked to in the first quarter, again in the third, and then this incident took place during the fourth quarter. And it sounds like the guy was struck a couple times after a lot of arguing back and forth, and a two-piece sent this guy out the door. You know what I mean? And because he was like, what, 54 or something like that. People don't understand. And like, I see more and more videos of people fighting in gyms and shit like that, which is one of the most retarded things I've ever seen. I'm sorry, stupid things I've ever seen.
You could say retarded on this program.
Okay,
retarded
because,
is not an offensive word. It's only offensive to people who want to be offended. All right.
Right. Being in prison, like I can definitely attest to the dangers of fights around weights. You know what I mean? And because, and in a stadium setting, also there's almost always concrete stairs. You got these hard ass plastic fucking chairs. You got staggered fucking.
The guy on the higher stair always has a major advantage.
Because when you take that blow, you're gonna hit the back of your legs on the seats behind you, and God only knows how you're gonna land. Right. You know what I mean? So I just want to take a second to just say to people, please don't fight in stadiums. Don't fight in the gym. You're not only risking your life, but you're also, listen, just a good, you give him a good chin check and he falls to the floor and hits, and on that fall hits his head. Your life's over, bro. And so, you kill him, your life's over too. You know what I mean? So like, I know that, people are under stress and shit like that. But man, we need to back up and just think about shit from time to time, because these are deadly, deadly situations people are putting themselves in. And they're also putting themselves at risk to lose the rest of their lives for incarceration over something that you definitely aren't going to feel like it was worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll throw your whole life
I did
for
this
it.
for the Jets. Oh
right, you know what I mean?
I just like to take a little counterpoint, a little crossfire here. That's your side of the thing. I would like to see everybody kill each other in the state. 50,000 people at once just kill each other, and
just a whole stadium erupts in violence.
Everybody dead. Like,
hey, I can see it happening at a Raiders game. To be honest.
If the crowd is like 80,000, 40,000 dead, and the other 40,000 arrested for murder, and that would be perfect.
Oh my Jesus Christ!
It could be something to talk about on the morning show, but and that's all I really care about, is having something to talk about with my coffee.
Yeah.
I brought up the vaping thing because there's Lauren Bobo. Congresswoman went to see Beetlejuice and this is an old story now, but last weekend she went to see Beetlejuice and she was vaping, and they were complaining that she was vaping. There was a pregnant woman behind her with kids, and she denied she was vaping, and she was obviously vaping. She's on the video camera vaping, all that stuff. But then the guy she was with started grabbing her titties and trying to like turn them like they're huge radio dials or something. Like he didn't like it the first time he ever touched the titty, and she was getting into it. She looking like she was really enjoying
with kids around him and stuff.
With kids around, and now her platform is all about don't sexualize children, don't expose children to sexual behavior. And here she is, and then she starts grabbing his cock. All right, all that stuff. Now people are outraged by that. Twitter, news feeds. Oh, yeah, who the fuck cares? I don't care. But what she came out. She said she denied the vaping, and then they showed her the videotape, and then she said, "Oh, I forgot." She said she didn't even know what vaping was. Oh, I forgot.
Come on, dude.
And then about the dick grabbing and the titty grabbing and all that stuff. She said the guy was a Democrat, so she broke up with him. Now this was her first date, and people are all over her, and I'm like, I give her credit for working across the aisle for some cock, because Listen, in a time where we're so divided by parties, I appreciate a Republican chick who can suck a fucking Democrat dick, or a Democrat chick who can fuck a Republican dick. It's, give a good credit for being a little bit moderate in your choice of cum stick. That's all I just want to say. You got any take on that? Or no, you don't care?
I mean, listen, I've tasted the vaginas of a few Democratic women, and they're always a little more bitter. I just, so,
Hey, you know what? I think there's probably some truth to that statement.
there really is. I swear to God, it's a toxicity level. Really, is what it's about.
But you're
Throws off the pH balance.
You're going to get fact checked now by AP, because the Associated Press has taken it upon itself, and we touched on this with Jackie the other day, to fact check comedians on shit they say on stage.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm serious.
Why? That's so dumb. I'm sure we're going to end up talking to Dave about this sort of thing.
Dave's late. He said 9:30 at my time would be good. I'm just checking. I don't have a direct line to him, so I got to go talk to his agent right now.
I hope he's Eastern.
Well, we kind of talked about that. I can't type with one finger and talk. So you talk for a minute.
So, the Bosses in Tea, I guess, is closing. So I'm not exactly sure where my shows at the end of the month are. They've assured me that the shows will happen at an alternate venue, but they have not told me where that venue is going to be yet. So my shows on the 27th and the 29th are still happening, but not at the Bosses Comedy Club in Tea.
Wow. And what town is that?
So Tea, South Dakota is technically a suburb of Sioux Falls. It's like literally 5 minutes on the interstate.
Now, Sioux Falls is a suburb of the United States.
I mean, that's kind of true. Yes.
Oh, our guest has arrived. How about that?
Yay!
Yeah, I gotta just give him some props. First of all, for starting out, because we were anticipating yesterday's interview for about a month, and then the transformer blew up, and now I'm on the end of having to be the dick to cancel on short notice, and totally understood if he didn't want to redo it, but he was kind enough to reschedule and come on this morning. I really been looking forward to talking to Dave. Hold on, let me just check the background here, make sure we got a 3-person background for a threesome, and we'll have a minute. Why am I so bad at this all of a sudden? It's like one day off, and I can't figure out where any of the pieces are. Here they are. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the brightest comedians in the world today, Dave Landau.
Good morning. Hey, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. You are an enigma to me, but we'll get to that. I want to mention that this week you're performing this weekend in South Myrtle Beach, as we say in Brooklyn, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, at the Comedy Shop, but the Wonders Theater. It's kind of confusing. The Wonders Theater is a magic theater, but they have comedy shows there.
Yes, I guess I just found that out, so that's good news for me. That It's hard to market.
Yeah, it's like a magician who does steady stuff there. But I wanted to make sure I send people to the right place to get tickets, because if you use the promo code NORMAL, you'll get 10% off. But you got to go to wonderstickets.com/laughter. How about that?
There you go.
Now, good morning. I know you're a comedian and don't love mornings. Where are you specifically in the United States?
At the moment, I'm in Texas.
So that's Central Time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you live in Texas?
Yeah. Well, I do a show out of Texas. I do my night show out of Texas. So I just woke up, so I'm pretending to be jovial. So I'm doing the best I can.
Is it working? Are you buying it? Are you buying it, Willie?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
I am so far.
Okay.
He's not going to be jovial if he sees the comments. I'm going to defend you right away that you're 5'4", correct?
Oh, what?
You're 5'4", is that correct?
Oh, is that the comments immediately?
Yeah, somebody immediately said that you were only 5'1", and that's not true. I
Oh,
know that you're 5'4". Is that right?
oh, in the
5'6",
chat room, we got people talking.
5'6". Oh, he's even
5'6".
taller than that. Big, larger than life.
Yes,
Wow.
5'6". Yeah. So I'm
All right.
Yeah.
enormous. Yeah. Yeah,
Just to,
it's a weird thing to be. No, I don't. If people want me to be 5'2", that's fine.
I
Easy.
thought you look 6'9" on the video. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
that's it.
Yeah, no, you have a great presence. Your presence on that stage is huge for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just stunted my growth with drugs at a very young age. I have a
Yeah,
twin. I have a twin brother that's 5 inches taller than me. So believe me, this damage was self-inflicted.
That's very strange. Twin brother, 5 inches taller than you.
so it's
I
like a Danny
um,
DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger
oh yeah,
situation.
It is.
Like you're just the crap that was left over.
That's right.
it's
Except I
always
have except I have hair still. That's the only benefit I have left. Otherwise, everything else matches.
you do a lot of
Nice.
funny things with your hair. Now, I don't mean, I don't know
Yeah.
what I mean by that, but I mean generally. This is let me back up. I alluded to the fact that you're an enigma to me. I first got familiar with you through Crowder's show. And for the people who think we're going to talk about what happened with Crowder, that's been covered. Go to Michael Malice's interview with Dave. He stops him every other word, like define what you mean by I and that kind of stuff. But you get really into the minutia of the Crowder stuff if that's what you're interested. But I first saw you on that, and then I came upon a comedy special of yours, and I was expecting very right-wing political stuff in your stand-up act and didn't see any of it. You were just making people laugh.
Yeah.
And very funny stuff. And a couple of times in interviews, I heard you say, I'm not here to offend you. I'm here to make you laugh, which I appreciate that. But then you align yourself with Steven Crowder, Glenn Beck, and Anthony Cumio, people like that. It kind of goes, because I think you made a concerted effort not to be political in your stand-up, but then you get kind of, because I put you in that bucket of, wow, this is going to be a very political guy, right-wing political guy by association. It kind of confuses me. What,
No, it confuses me too. You're not wrong. What happened was a few years ago I got on the Artie Lang and Anthony Cumia show. So that was it. Like they offered me a spot on the show, and then after that I got offered a spot on Crowder to be kind of the third chair where I just kind of made fun of stuff. And then after that, the Blaze offered me my own show where I do sketch comedy. So I sort of just fell into that world. That's
Wow.
why it's not like I take a hard stance on any of it. And that, to be honest, that bothers people because
Yeah.
they want me to be this very like
Right.
hard, far right political person, but I'm not. I definitely have plenty of stuff. I align with them more because being a comic today it's virtually impossible to be really liberal, even though it's so weird. Like I would say I always was liberal, but then it all has just shifted so much that you have no choice to be shoved into like a category of that if you want to just be funny.
It is everything needs a label. But I was thinking, because I've seen a lot of your stand-up now since I was first exposed to your stand-up comedy as opposed to being on podcasts and things, and I love it. But my thought is, if somebody just saw that and didn't know, was expecting you to be right wing or didn't know about all that stuff, they might think you were a liberal because you were talking about, being okay with gay marriage, and if you you wouldn't be all that upset if your kid at 3 months old was rolling a joint. You'd be more impressed and all those kind of stuff. That and the hair thing, which is how we got into this, because your hair, that's not something you would see a conservative do often, because they make fun of people who have mohawks or different colored hair and all that kind of stuff. So people might assume you were a liberal if they only knew you from your stand-up act, but then they see you. It's weird.
No, I agree. Yeah, I had a mohawk just because my nephew was getting his hair cut, and he was like, "I want to get a mohawk," but I was too afraid. And I was like, "I'll get a mohawk. That's fine. I'll get one." My parents would have beat me if I would have tried to get one when I was a kid. So let's do it. So
I'm going to get one today.
I say go for it. Let's do it.
Gonna go down and get hair plugs put in just down the center.
You got to go buy a broom.
Brian just super glue it up top.
Yeah, I think it would work for you.
Yeah. We are going to mention Crowded, but not. We're not going to go down that whole thing. I wanted to ask you about the Ethan Hawke thing. If that's okay with you? You were there for the Ethan Hawke thing, and I watched that live. And I have to think that you were very uncomfortable in the moment that it had to switch to you, because the camera switched to you. It's like it was a cover for Steven, like disappearing in a very uncomfortable moment. And I had to think at that time, this has got to be the most uncomfortable thing, including all the stand-up, coming up through stand-up. I'm sure when you were first beginning, you had some uncomfortable moments, but that seemed really uncomfortable. Can you tell me about how that felt in that moment, and what was that your role, just to kind of deflect?
Was it an interview?
It was Ethan Hawke where he set him up. It was supposed, and Sam Cedar popped in.
Oh, Ethan Klein.
Yeah. What did I say? Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hawke, yeah. I was wondering how we got Ethan Hawke for a minute. I was like,
it's morning, man. It's morning here too. I'm only an hour away.
Oh no, you're good. I was like, what a git.
I am a
git. No, not you. I mean Ethan Hawke. I was like, no, I heard he just directed his daughter in a movie where she had a nude scene, which
yeah.
Two sex scenes, yeah.
Yeah, Woody Allen would have loved that. So
right.
So that was bizarre. Like, as I remember it, he didn't want to debate Sam Cedar.
Right.
So I was there just in case Sam popped in case, which he did. So I would just start kind of ripping on whoever was in the room. So I was just sort of there, I guess, as the bulldog. I don't really know. So that's why I said, like, Ethan was too fat for his rollerblades, and whatever it is I said, like that's. I kind of just came in to jump to, I don't know, I guess protect him in that moment.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Better, yeah, and that was kind of my job was, to deflect,
I like to try to get into the mind. I'm over analytical, but I'm looking at comedians often and think, what are they going through in this moment, especially when things get sticky like that? And I'm just assuming, you're thinking, this is not what I agreed to do. This is not my job description. How did I get stuck doing this? I'm a comedian who does prepared material that I write, and being, jumping in the middle of somebody else's battle is not part of the job description. And it just felt like, man, good for you to be able to roll with the punches and get through that moment. But it had to be really weird.
Thank you. No, it is weird because there is sort of a lot of that, we're going to go into battle and we're going to do this and we're going to fight, where it's like, are we? I don't.
Let me hide behind the little guy.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing, and Steven was my friend, and I didn't mind doing it. I mean, half my life was me talking crap for other people that were bigger than me, and then them being able to fight. So, that was always something that I was skilled in. So, I mean, I guess in a sense, I was happy to do it, but it always was a bizarre thing where I always thought, why don't you just debate the guy?
Yeah.
If you believe what you believe, debate the guy. And that's
your followers are going to say you won. All his followers are going to say he won. That's what's going to happen.
That's exactly it. Like, it's never going to shift because no one cares. Like, everybody just wears their jersey. It doesn't matter. Like,
exactly. We can debate till his cows come home. Nobody's mind is going to change, and it's a really crazy thing. We were touching base because you do a lot of. I hate putting comedians into genres and labels but if I had to put one on you, I would put it as a guy who tells personal anecdotes about himself and reveals personal things. Now, this comedian, Hassan Minhaj, has been fact-checked for what he says on stage by the Associated Press. You fall into that category that they're going to probably fact-check you on everything you say. Oh, he's telling stories about his life. Go send out a reporter to see if we can get the cop who arrested him when he was 17 on record and that kind of stuff. Does that concern you at all? That nonsense?
No. It was funny because when I actually first did the Artie Lang and Anthony Cumia show, they said, "Can you go get your mugshot?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So
I have been
I
asked for that.
yes, and I went to the police station in Detroit. It was actually in Canton, Michigan, and I went in and I said, "Could I get my mugshot, a copy of it?" And they said, "You want it taken down? You want it like deleted from the system?" I'm like, "No, I want it printed."
They're not used to that
Yeah,
request.
yeah. They said we don't get what you mean. And the guy, I said, I just need a copy of it. See, I'm on this show called the Artie Lang, and right when I said Artie Lang, I hear this cop in the back go, "I get it," and then he went and he grabbed the mugshot for me. So no, it's funny because like I've always been honest. Like, look, I was arrested 13 times. 7 times I was actually charged. You know, the other times because I was a juvenile, I was held over in jail, and I've always been honest about it. And it's one of those things where it's never been to brag, and it's never one of those things where with Hassan, you know, he was race baiting, I guess, and that's a big problem where if you're going to tell a story that's very deeply personal to you, I hope it's very real involving something like that. Because I've had cops that are extremely nice and have helped change my life, and judges, and I've had ones that are monsters and have beaten the crap out of me with nightsticks. And that's, you know, there's 2 different kinds. So to just kind of make that up, and I've also been a very cooperative, you know, detainee, and I've also spit on a cop's face and deserved
Oh,
to
I
have
love the bipolarness of it.
Oh,
Oh,
dude!
that's great.
Oh, you bet. My mom had it. I
That's
had it. Yeah.
I have to say
like a
I've
tradition.
never
Yes.
seen really any of Hassan Minaj's stand up, but I assume as an audience member when I'm going to see a comedy show that they're allowed to lie to me. even if it's political stuff, you know, they make it. You're a comedian on stage. You shouldn't be made to swear on a Bible that you're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So I don't know.
That's the part too that I don't understand. Like, if we all had to be held accountable for what we said, we'd be in prison. Like, there's no
Right.
like
Right.
if you're telling stories, like of course there's going to be an element of some exaggeration and embellishment because that's sort of how you do storytelling.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
anybody. Look at any of Ron White's, for example. He's a great storyteller for stories.
Yeah.
There's, you know, that one from I was arrested in a bar in Des Moines to I was thrown out of a bar in New York City. It
Right.
doesn't change the tater salad story. It's just the location and why it's funnier for the, you know, it's
Right.
it's just be. Sorry, go ahead, William.
Oh, I was going to ask you. So, do you? Because I listened to some of your stuff, and I have to say that is it always one story, or do you ever mix them? Like, because for myself, I know that sometimes in order to make the joke funnier, I'll take 2 or 3 similar stories and kind of meld them together into one bigger story. Do you ever do that, or is it always just the straight story?
No, there's a combination that I've done absolutely into a story where it's like this is going to work better as a combination. Like the entire Mohawk one with Wolfmaster is actually 3 stories, but it's told as 2 stories. But like the time I drank a fifth and fell through a glass table, I was arrested, but I wasn't sent to a mental hospital that day. I was actually sent to a mental hospital a day when I tried to it was like way darker. I tried to fight my dad who was in Vietnam. I lost. And I loved my dad very much, but I was a very messed up kid. My dad was sick from Agent Orange in Vietnam, and like it was a whole thing. And I couldn't really explain that to an audience and make it funny for Comedy Central in a
Right.
matter of like 10 minutes. So
Sure.
I kind of combined like this was how severe my alcoholism is. This is how I ended up in the mental hospital, you know? So then I told the mental hospital story. So it is a combination of the 2. And I think that's part of it is you do have to have creative freedom to put together pieces of your life to demonstrate that on stage. I mean, if you look at Richard Pryor, who's one of the best storytellers ever, you know, his heart's not really talking to him. It's not, you know, there's just these when he's having a heart attack, like there's these elements of course you have to have exaggeration, and that's why, like you said, to have somebody swear in a Bible and be like, every bit of this is dead on.
Right.
And it's not
Yeah.
even entertainment then at that point.
Right. Right.
Well, I'm gonna push back a little bit. About 4 or 5 days ago, I was riding a bike for second time in 20 years, and my heart definitely was talking to me. I thought I was having a heart attack and dying. But I get what you're saying. But you know what? I think he was probably being half serious in that moment. I definitely. All I was saying is I don't want to die this way. This is the stupidest way to die ever. I could have waited for my wife to get home. My car was in the shop, and instead of waiting for the wife to get home, I took the bike, and it's a 7-mile ride uphill. And I was, and then before I knew it, I'm like, and this is the stupidest fucking way to die because you couldn't wait for your wife to get home. So
Right.
I can just imagine your heart being like, all right, if you don't stop right now, I fucking quit.
That's it. That's it. So,
no, that's the prior thing too, where it's like you weren't thinking about that when you were eating all that pork, and then it's just grabbing his chest, and that's the same. Yeah, you have those feelings in your head, you know.
yeah.
And yeah, you have to make it work for the story. I think with Hassan, from what I read, like I'm with you. Like I wasn't exactly a fan, so I didn't watch much of it. But he was saying these like very supposedly honest things about racial injustice involving him that involved police, and then it turned out that none of it was actually real. So if you
Jackie Martling was on Monday, and he said that it was probably a setup by Hassan's people to manufacture the outrage to get people interested in him, and that's a cynical way to look at it. But I kind of have to think there's some credence to it. I don't know.
Oh,
I think the same thing with Shane Gillis with the Australia. Australia was outraged because he made some jokes about Australia doing nothing. I don't think Australia was really pissed. I think that
Shane was on a show with me on Compound Media, a fair one. I took over the show when he left, and yeah, I've seen Shane perform in front of many people, and I don't see an entire country being outraged because he said their export was a kangaroo video.
Yeah, and it was a damn good one. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's a lot of that, and we have to, because people. I felt for a story like that. Elon Musk is going to start charging for Twitter. Now I've seen that enough on Facebook to never fall for that. And when the people post that they're going to start charging for Facebook, I always say dismiss that. That rumor's been going on. But 2 days ago, somebody did Twitter, and I was like, fuck that. I'm not paying for Twitter. And then I'm like, what? This is just the fucking same thing we've seen on Facebook over and over again. Manufactured outrage. People posting shit to get you upset. I want to turn this back to you, though. You are a super prolific writer now, because not only do you write special after special, and you have a special that you wrote and performed, not released because somebody else, and that's a whole other story. Yes. But you're writing for yourself specials. You're writing bits. You're writing the show content and the notes for normal TV that you're doing, all that stuff. You're writing constantly. Where do you ever hit a wall and say, I just don't have any ideas for funny anymore? Because most people, to write an hour would take several years. You have to do it in a short period of time and then keep working on your comedy also. So, I mean, the writing part, hitting a wall ever and feeling like I got nothing funny left to say, man. I've talked about it.
Every day. It's just that, like, that's the good thing about self-doubt and addiction and insecurity is I get it every day when I put something together. Fortunately, with being, somewhat of a storyteller, I always have some bit of fodder. But I really do enjoy writing, and I really do enjoy putting together sketches, especially for my show Normal World. So when I'm writing something and I really want to like challenge people or really just want to put something together out that's fun, I look at it in a different way. Like I don't look at it as work. I look at it as like I'm more grateful to have it.
What
And
about
that
deadlines though? Like you got a show you're taping Tuesday or whenever you tape your show, and it's now Monday night and you're still writing. Does that like set in panic? I mean,
not now, because it's the show that I'm on is ran by me, so I'm like, it's all right, you could put it off.
it's good to be the
No,
king. It's good to be
yeah,
the king.
no, it definitely does, though, for real. It does. Because sometimes there's just nothing in the news, or it's difficult to pull something out, or you're trying to figure out the right way to say it. Like we did an entire
Right.
Russell Brand deep dive yesterday, and I was trying to figure out the best way to get into it in any sort of way that was, because it's so hard to find funny in that.
Right.
And so I had our correspondent, which I just made a puppet, discuss everything that was going on, and just try to figure out anything that's like more fun and a better way to do it. But yeah, you do hit a wall, and sometimes stuff's just gonna miss, and I've learned to live with that. I mean, that's one part of entertainment, is sometimes you're just gonna fail, and then you just move on from it and try it again. I mean, it's not ever going to work all the time.
Comedy uniquely prepares you for that, like, because I perform mostly as a musician, and I have to be honest with you. I mean, in the early day, now this week I'm gonna fucking suck because I'm saying this, but it's been 30 years since I really, at least 30 years, probably 40 years since I've had one of those. Oh man, I totally fucking suck today. Those kind of moments. So it hasn't happened, but in comedy, sure, it happens. It still happens all the time.
Yeah, it's true though. It's and you're gonna, and even jokes that work and will work every time, all of a sudden you'll be in a room where people just hate it or didn't get it, and then you have to learn how to bounce back from that. I mean, it's a great learning. It's a great way to just learn how not everything works all the time, and it from being in show business. I mean, you have to learn rejection and failure pretty early on. And if you're not willing to accept that, then it's like, this is just the wrong business for you. It is.
The worst. The worst
Can I
experience
ask
in my life was. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, what's kind of your own sort of process when something doesn't land? Like, is there something, a go-to that you go to? You know what I mean? That do you try? Is there something in particular you do to try and get the audience back if you lose them somehow? Or
usually at this point now, I just call it out. I'll just go like, that's the best way to do it. Yeah, I just call it out. I'll just acknowledge how bad it was or how that didn't work, and especially on my show. But if I'm in front of a live audience, and I've been lucky where it's the same, where I don't really bomb because I've been in it for a long time. I mean, you still have your moments, obviously, and this week we'll see what happens now that I said that, as I'm knocking wood. But sometimes you do just have those sets where you're just eating it, and I will just start laughing hysterically at how much the audience hates me.
Right. It becomes amusing to you, and that's where the fun part comes in.
Yeah, because you just see somebody just cross-arm, staring at you with utter just disdain, and I just find that hysterical, because it's like, what? I'm not hurting you. I'm just trying to make you laugh. Yeah.
Right. Now I've heard a lot of comedians talk about targeting the cross-armed person, like I'm like, until that person laughs, like I'm not moving on or whatever. Do you ever do that kind of thing?
Sometimes I just think they might be cold, and we might over worry about that.
That's true. There's a danger of trying to impress one person. Is the rest? You got the rest of the room all for you.
Yes,
and you're trying to work to that one person. I've seen Mikey does that all the time. It's like, forget about that stupid bitch. She's never gonna like you. These people love you. Play for them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't care if that lady dies in a fire. I enjoy the rest of the room. And it's funny too, though. A lot of the times, the person who you think hates you the most at the end of the show, it's like, I loved you. Can I get a picture? And then they're buying like a shirt, and you're going like, I seriously thought you hated me. But you never know. Some people just don't. They're just not outward laughers, or they're just kind of
they process
more shy about it. Yeah. So you can't always judge somebody just based on how they're sitting. I've learned over the years, because I've also found, like, some of the worst shows, at least you feel the worst after, will get the best crowd response from people on their way out the door.
Yeah, I
It's
get it.
very bizarre, but it's just how it works.
I
So I
know.
never,
I've seen it all the time, and
yeah,
there are times where I've been in a cold sweat, thinking this entire room hates me, and then tons of people coming up saying how much they enjoyed the show, and I'm like, yeah, it would have been nice if you would have let me know while I was on stage, so I wouldn't be in
right,
that cold
yeah.
sweat.
I'm trying to figure out if my belt will work with a ceiling fan, and they're like, these people want to meet you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, before you said there's not always something in the news, I think the problem is there's too much in the news, and for your show specifically, normal TV. And by the way, you don't necessarily have to go to. You can find that on YouTube. You don't have
Yes.
to necessarily go to any kind of or have any cable box or anything for that. But you. Sometimes the news happen. We were talking about Bobert this morning, and I realized that's already a 7-day-old story. That's off the charts. But since we hadn't talked about it, and Will didn't know about it because he lives in a cocoon, I thought I would talk about it. But with you, if you're pre-taping that show on normal TV and you do it like even a day before, there's a chance by the time it airs, by the time it premieres, nobody cares about that story anymore. It's gone. Like the Russell Brand stuff is old news now. I mean, all this stuff is just gone in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Yeah, there's a way, like what we did yesterday was because that was the first time we had gone live since it happened. So it was me and my co-host watching the play Beetlejuice, and I had my pants down with popcorn over my dick. And then it was me getting thrown out of the play Beetlejuice, and it says Beetlejuice Live, but I'm trying to get free refills, even though my pants are down and the popcorn bag is still on my dick. So I'm like, it says free refills, so I'm refusing to leave without getting more popcorn put on my penis.
Wow.
So it's like I tried to handle it that way, where you kind of remind them what's going on, and then I thought it would just be fun to do our version of it.
Yeah.
And say how we feel, because I do think it's a funny thing to have, this woman's getting groped, and then on the way out, I just think that the fact that Beetlejuice is a play is hysterical.
Yeah,
But I
me
mean,
too.
like it just shows how far we've fallen and how far we will. But at this point, and then with the Russell Brand thing, that'll be in the news, I think, enough for a while where people want to know your opinion. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of different opinions, but we'll just find out what happens in time.
I don't want to know anybody's opinion. I want to know. Let me know when it's resolved and what happens, and even then, I don't really care. He's still going to be like Louis C.K. is trending this morning because of shit he said, and people are trying to cancel him again. I like the more you try to cancel people, the more money they make, the bigger they get. If you're better off is just to go change the channel or walk away or not pay attention to it.
And Louis, like, why are you going to try to cancel him again? You canceled him and he won.
Yeah, that's exactly
right. Like, he's hilarious. You didn't win that, and what he did, in my opinion, was nothing wrong.
Right.
He had permission. They came out years later. It was just something that at the beginning of the Me Too movement was a perfect time to go at a guy.
I really love how he handled it, though. I mean, he handled it so good.
What do you mean, the dick?
No. Like, so.
You chose a very strange way of talking. Handled it.
Well, okay. So the way he handled it is that he was like, I mean, it's not so bad, but like the president knows what my fucking thing is. You know what I mean? Like, that's weird. The president doesn't know your fucking thing. That's like, he addressed it in that kind of way when he came back, and it was really funny. I thought he did a great job of handling post scandal.
Yeah. It was one of those things known, I think, in show business, and that's the thing about Russell Brand, is how many people knew that there were allegations, but everybody knew he was a sex addict from his book. That people want to get ahead in show business at the same time, but you also know that he could have done things because of his own, addictions in his past. So it's like, it's just a matter of either way. If he's innocent, it sucks because he is now, for the rest of his life, it will follow him.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
It's his own fault for being born a good-looking hippie Jesus with an English accent.
Yes, that's the truth. Yeah.
I mean, there's been times I've been tempted. Really, I mean,
he's just a handsome man.
Yeah,
he is.
Do you have carte blanche to do whatever you? Not carte blanche in terms of money, but in terms of content to do whatever you want on normal TV. You're completely in charge, or do you get pushback from the network?
No, they let me do whatever I want. It's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that
And
is crazy.
I really thought that I would get some pushback, and no. Like,
And what about in terms of the people you bring on and your co-hosts and things like that? Did they supply that to you, or did you say no? I'm going to choose the people I want. Go out and actively seek the people you want on the show.
actively seek the people that I want.
Very
Cool.
good.
Yeah, immediately I wanted, people like Kurt Metzger and my friends Matt McClowery and my friends, people that I just really wanted to have on the show. So they were totally cool with it. They're like, yeah, we just want you to have the show that you want, and that's what I've been able to do so far.
Good for
It's
you.
just thank you.
And you know what, you deserve it, because it's good to see somebody who put in. I know you put in years of hard work to get where you are today, and it seems like it's finally paying off. Even though you had to go to, people find it hard to be sympathetic to a comedian. Oh, you don't even really work for a living, but you've
Yeah.
gone through some career shit that has been not very pleasant, especially in the recent past. And good for you. It's good to see that. Now you're captain of your own ship, and things are working
Yeah.
out for you. You're killing it in stand up, and you're going to be killing it at Wonders Theater in the Comedy Shop. Thursday and
Yes.
Friday.
No, thank you. I do appreciate you saying that. A lot of people who aren't in the business don't realize that, but they look at it like, I wish I could just sit there and talk. And you're like, yeah, that's what we do.
No,
Right.
yeah, no. I want
Right.
people to come out. Listen, I'm a big uh, supporter of comedy in general. I did say the other day, there's just too much of everything. I think once we find out who the good comedians are, we need to trim the fat a little bit, because there's just too many of them. But I want
Yeah.
people to come out and support your show, because you are one of the good ones. You're one of the, in my opinion, and this is not me blowing smoke up your ass. In my opinion, you're one of the brightest stars in comedy today. People need to
Yeah.
support you, because if they don't, you're not going to be there when they need a fucking good laugh. And
Thank
so
you, man.
I want people to come out and see it.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate what you're doing, and I laugh. It's hard to make me laugh at a video, but I've seen so much of your stand up on video now, and every time I have laugh out loud moments at video, which is difficult
Yeah.
for me. So,
Thank you.
the Gotham stuff I'm interested in, because you did Gotham Comedy Club a lot.
Yes.
And you come on for, I think, like 8-minute pieces, right? And
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
that often, so you're burning material every time. Now I'm just wondering, you fly I guess you're working with Anthony and Artie in New York anyway, so it wasn't a big trip, or maybe it was. But to come to New York, do 8 minutes, I'm just wondering it. And I don't want you to kind of burn them in any way, but
Yeah.
is the works out financially? You get paid just for doing the gig, and then they take the video and make profit off it, or do you get any of that?
Fortunately, they gave me the video to be able to use, so that's the benefit. So it kind of works out because I mean, the guy who owns the club is a great dude, and the first one I shot, I think 9 years ago. No, the first one I shot was for Comedy Central in 07. So
Wow.
it's ended up doing 4 of them. So no, I still get residuals for the Comedy Central one. I got a check for 5 cents from SAG. I'm not even kidding. Like 2 weeks ago, I'm like, I'm glad we're striking. You show them, team. So and then it's like, and so but yeah, it's worth it in the sense of just getting your name out there in any way, having a good video. But no, you're never getting rich off of any
Well,
kind of stand-up appearance. It's always been that way.
the reason, well, people don't understand that, especially people who are not where you are yet. We have lots of comedians and wannabe comedians and open mic level people, and to understand the dues that you have to pay, and understand that you're going to get. I don't want to kind of color this as Gotham is taking advantage of you. Obviously, you did benefit from that, but people need to understand that until you are where you are today, there are going to be people who just have the power, and they're going to use it, and you're going to feel like you get the shit end of the stick sometimes, especially financially. And I think people need to be prepared for that,
Oh
and
yeah.
and how you weather that for so long Because comedy is the only thing where you have to work so long, so hard to get paid.
Yeah, you work and then finally you do like a decent living, and that'll last, at least for me, a while. And then you have this kind of thing where you skyrocket. And then you're nowadays it goes up and down because nothing really lasts. I mean, you have to kind of keep staying relevant, or
Right.
somebody tries to destroy you instantaneously. I mean,
Right.
you were
Right.
talking about Shane, where it was like that, oh, I got SNL, to like, I have to now disappear for a year because I said something on a podcast. Or, like you have this up and down sort of momentum where you just don't get to take off in really in the way. There's exceptions, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same as it once was. And yeah, you do have to struggle unless you get lucky with it, like a TikTok video.
Right.
But which is another crazy thing, because you're like, oh, a guy hit an algorithm right, and then
Yeah.
people just think that's solid comedy. And rare, on the rare occasion it is, but usually it's not.
Right. Yeah.
Like
It's
Bo Burnham was an early viral act. He's very funny. There's certain people that are talented, but it's not, it's few and far between.
Yeah, a lot of people just putting out crowd work stuff, and I've been guilty of putting out stuff that has really no fucking value because the
Yeah.
endless need for content. So if I take an hour show, because AI now, if I put this stuff into a bucket for Opus clips to chop up, they'll chop it up into 30, 60 seconds, and we'll have Dave saying, yeah, and my hair, that was one thing, and boom, it's gone, it's over, and people like, what the fuck did I just watch this guy talk about his hair for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. It's a great way to make people think that they can do exactly what you do,
yeah,
and then not appreciate anything about you.
yeah,
And then and then cater to the shortest attention spans imaginable, and
Ugh.
that's not a knock on people, that's a knock on what they're being forced to see.
right.
Right.
Now, before we let you go, we're going to talk about Wonders and the Comedy Shop in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, again this weekend, the 22nd and 23rd. Generally, a lot you have your friend Matt open for you, but you're not this weekend. Somebody else is. Just curious about your friend Matt, though.
Yes.
He's open for you a lot. Did you go to school with him? Does your relationship go back that far? I mean, where did that start?
Matt, I've known about 20 years, maybe a little bit longer, and he was doing an open mic. And Matt is a big dude with autism. And when he was first on stage, like, I should say Asperger's, that's, obviously the joke he
Right.
makes. But he could barely socialize. Like, he would just kind of stare at his shoes, and he looks like a serial killer. But he just had these jokes that were some of the funniest jokes ever, where he's like, they asked me if I wanted to do colleges. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea. It's like, tonight, Matt McClowry, tomorrow, candlelight vigil. And and like just like, and he just has this perfect look, and now he's genuinely so happy. He's got a wife and daughter, and he's a different person because he's just worked so hard to kind of break from what he was born with. And he's one of my very best friends. And but yeah, when we first would go on the road, like, dude, we'd be driving and he's just like reading signs. He's just like Red Roof, IHOP, and I'm like, are you gonna do this the whole time before you just
Yeah,
before you just kill me in a rest area? And and, and he and I we loved ripping on each other and just enjoyed the way that we worked, because we both had the same like kind of dark humor and the same kind of outlook on life, which I don't want to say is like black pilled 20 years ago, but we're both bleak in a way, but also optimistic. I don't know how to explain that, but it's
that's
like,
weird.
if
Yeah.
you realize,
No, I get it.
yeah, if you realize the world is hopeless, then you can just have your own hope. Like, you just
Yep.
it's sort of that Carlin look where you just go, well, everything's crap, and I've accepted it. Now I'm happy.
Yeah,
And
I'm looking forward to that. You know what? I'm old, and people think I'm being morbid when I say this, but I don't expect to live another 10 years. So when people say, I don't give a fuck about anything because I'm living on borrowed time as it is. So I'm trying to enjoy myself in the moment every day and not really have any hope. So I guess maybe we're on the same page there. I just never heard it articulated like that.
Right.
yeah, no, I think that's the best way to look at it. Is like you just have to kind of. It's a way of saying like live your life to your fullest, and also saying I don't really care what happens after I'm gone.
Right.
Because I mean, in reality, how can you? It's
Right.
like I don't
Right.
care. Like I mean, I wish I would, but I mean, I wish the world's good for my son. But I'm sure my dad said that, and it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not,
Right.
dude. That's so
Well,
great.
we'll wrap this up because we are expecting Sarah Talamosh
Oh, there you go.
any moment. She's another one of the brightest stars in comedy. It's rare that we have two of the brightest stars in one day. It's rare that we have one of the brightest stars in
Yeah,
one
they're
day.
usually just stuck with our dopey asses.
Yeah, no, we do get quite a few comedians on, but not necessarily the brightest stars in comedy. Not
Right.
bad mouthing anybody. We have had some great people on, but it's a numbers game. It is a
Yes.
numbers game. Anyway, I'll knock 'em dead this weekend. I hope you do really well there, and please do come back sometime, man. I really enjoyed your work. I know it's early for you, but if any way we can make it worth your while, we'll make
No,
it worth your while.
I would love to come back. It's really great talking to you, both of you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Have a great show, and thanks for coming, and have a great day there in Texas. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Thanks for having me.
Goodbye. Dave Landau, folks. Yeah, Ian's not a Landau fan. Ian in the chat room there,
I
but
guess not. Jeez.
I think it's because of the political stuff. I do. I don't know. I haven't had that conversation with Ian, but you know what? It's
Yeah, he had some darts right away.
I think he's taught me a lot about my prejudice because I did. Again, I found him through Crowder, and I assumed he was going to be Crowder, and I was expecting him not to be funny at all. And then reluctantly watched the Comedy Central special and laughed a lot. And I laughed a
Yeah.
lot, and then I gave him a chance and watched more and more. And I was like, this guy's got a lot of common experience with me.
Yeah.
The drug use, the passing out, ending up in the fucking
Terrible parents.
all of it. All of it. He's a great guy. So you know what? I don't care what other people think. I'm a fan of his. So
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you told me to like get familiar before the show and stuff. And that Normal World, some of the most clever writing I've seen, like, because they're talking about stuff that's really tough to talk about, but they're doing it in the perfect way,
right.
All
right, now shut up. Our next guest is, I'm sorry. You don't have to shut up. Our next guest has arrived. Yeah, it was pretty quick. Good timing. Dave just steps out the door, and Sarah is here. Now, she has a special coming up that she's taping at Grove 34 in Astoria, Queens. This place is a really unique kind of place, and I want to talk to you about it because I just checked out their website, and there's hosting stuff, so we can put on some comedy shows there. Not necessarily a comedy club; it's a comedy space. But she's doing her next special on October 11th at 8 p.m. there, 34th Street in Astoria, Queens, which is where the movie business started. But when was the last time you saw a pregnant woman doing a comedy stand-up special? I mean, a third trimester pregnant.
I mean, it's been a hot minute. I've seen them though. I've seen them.
I don't think
Oh
ever.
yeah. I think Margaret Cho didn't Margaret. No, maybe it would.
I don't know. I bet you Sarah knows better than we do. Let's
not
welcome
Margaret
in.
Cho. Who was? I can't remember.
Shut up. I'm sorry. Let's welcome in.
You have a mute button. Just hit the mute button.
All right, you mute. Let's welcome in one of the brightest stars in comedy today, Sarah Talamosh. Mash.
Hi guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm a big fan of your work. I think I recognize a lot of my own brokenness in your comedy. So
thank you. I think you're thinking of Ali Wong.
That's who it was. That's
And she
who
has
it was.
2
Thank
pregnant
you.
specials.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Very. So I'm wrong. I've never seen it. I've never seen a pregnant woman on stage doing stand-up comedy. But you have tour dates lined up now. Any concern about like, uh-oh, my water just broke right in the middle of a special?
Well, a lot of the spots are nearby in the city, so I'm with cab distance away to get to a hospital. But it did cross my mind. I think I'm taping my special pretty close to the due date. Like he could come. It wouldn't be unusual if he came around that time.
That would be very cool. Well, now, I think I said to Katie, that seems like a marketing person's dream because it's easy to sell out by saying maybe you could catch history in the making of a baby being born during a comedy special.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind, so I wouldn't have to work on doing a full set. Like I can just have it happen in the middle of my show and I can just go.
Just have a midwife waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You're from Africa. Do I have that right? Or is South Africa? I'm presuming because of your skin color, but is that true?
Yeah, it is. I was born in South Africa and then my family moved here like in 79, 78. So I wasn't even a year old when we moved to the States. So it's not like I identify with Africa.
Right, 'cause I was trying to hear accent. Now, when you say here, it wasn't New York, right? You're not a native New Yorker.
Yeah, I grew up in Texas.
Ah. And so New York, you make some jokes about New York. Are you comfortable with New York now? Is it going to be home, or is this just a stop in your on the way to fame and fortune?
I don't know about fortune. This place is expensive.
Yeah.
No, I've been here since '08. So I actually I consider this home, even I don't know. I still feel like Texas is my home, but I will probably reside up here for the rest of my life. And I think we're talking about maybe moving into New Jersey later down the line.
Oh, well, that's definitely an upgrade.
Yeah.
When Texas is like a country, though, what part of Texas? Because there's a big difference between Houston and San Antonio, right?
True.
Yeah. There is. Well, kind of. They're all a little bit different, but the same. I grew up in a suburb outside of Houston called Kingwood. George Foreman lived there for a brief moment. And then we also remember those teenagers that held up convenience stores and they made a movie about it? That's where that took place.
Wow. Wow. Can we talk about the roast?
Yeah, we can talk about the roast.
Now, the roast is, if you don't know, there is no reason to ever have a roast again. This is the roast to end all roasts. Because you're going up against your husband. People don't know Sarah is married to Joe List, one of the funniest people on the planet. But watching it was, first of all, for me, very uncomfortable because all I'm seeing is my wife take a chainsaw to my testicles after this is over. And you did great in that, and he flubbed the line. A joke because he said there were too many words in it. Now, I don't know. My thing is the wife has to win. She has to win, even though I'm not saying he let you win consciously, but you have to win that or your marriage is doomed. The wife has to. There's no way a marriage can survive the husband winning that. Your comment on that?
I wouldn't have cared either way. We both wrote our jokes together, so it was a team effort and nothing was a surprise. We were just there for the cash grab.
I get it, but you did win, and I think if you hadn't won, I think probably it would have been a little uncomfortable that night. I just knowing the nature of, I've been in enough marriages, enough relationships.
Sure.
So
I guess we'll never know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, again, when I saw him flub that line, I was like, I've seen Joe List. He doesn't flub.
Yeah.
He doesn't flub lines, and I don't think he did that intentionally. But I think his subconscious grabbed him by the throat and said, "If you get this right, it's going to be a tie."
Yeah.
So, but people haven't seen it. Again, I don't think there's any need to continue with that show now, because I think you ruined it for anybody else who's coming up. I mean, how do you top that? How can anybody possibly top that?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure they kept going. They probably will. It feels like right now roasts are kind of not as popular as before, particularly in the city, because that used to be like the number one show to go see in New York. Was always like, I think it was Wednesday nights at the Stand to go see roast. They still happen, but they don't seem to be as popular.
Right.
I still enjoy them. Like at Skankfest, they still do roast, and they're still really fun.
Yeah, and speaking of being married to a comedian, your podcast partner Katie is in a relationship with a comedian. That's got to be. I don't know. For me, it seems like from the outsider looking in, never being in that kind of relationship. Is there any competitive nature between you in a relationship when you're with another comedian, like joke writing or trying to one up each other or any of that stuff?
I don't feel it in my relationship in that aspect. Like, I feel like Joe and I's sensibilities can be quite different. So, he has his circle, and then I have my circle. And then, but we do really enjoy each other at the end of the day when it's just us. So
Wow.
we have our own humor that we do, just as any couple would have their own inside jokes.
Not me. I have a challenged relationship, I guess. My wife thinks
Sounds
she
like
could.
it.
My wife thinks she could be a stand-up.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine might
Maybe.
be able to though. Danica could probably do it.
I always think it's better. I've seen couples where the guy is doing stand up, and then later down the line, the girlfriend starts doing stand up, which is always really funny to me, and I love it because it's almost like the girlfriend's like, "Oh, that doesn't look hard. I can do that."
Yeah.
Well,
It looks easy for anybody who sees enough stand-up, but will end up believing they could do that because any good stand-up will make it seem just natural and easy. And I know that because a lot of times on the gigs I do, people will want to come up and make speeches, and they're just terrible. Once you put a mic in their hand, they are frozen. They don't know what to do. They have the mic down here, and why can't anybody hear me? Like, put it up here, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I like wedding speeches are. I live for those because they're so bad because of that. That I'm like this. Oh, this is the best show.
Yeah. I do a lot of political fundraisers and stuff. Not that I book them, my partner books them, but we always have politicians who want to come up and do it, and they're terrible, and they get everybody's names wrong, and the band is just laughing at them behind their back, and it's a good time waster. It's like, okay, this is an easy gig. All we have to do is just like let these idiots talk and all that stuff. But New York City. It creates a lot of opportunity for somebody like you. Are you a hustler? Like, do you do hustler? Do you do more than one club a night, like that kind of thing? Like I'll do a set here and then run to another place and do a set.
Yeah, I don't. It's not the. That's the normal. In fact, I feel like most comics get bummed if they're only doing one set a night.
Yeah. Well, but people don't understand that there's really maybe Boston, but there's really no other place that you can do that. LA is too far apart to
Yeah.
be able to do that, and so New York is still the place where if you're going to get better, improve at your craft, and you have to keep doing it, and you have to work a lot, and
Right.
that's the place where that opportunity exists. People don't get that. I'm hearing Austin is like that, but I don't think so. Austin's kind of like LA, and it's too big, it's too far and apart. But
I
it's
mean, they do have like 3 or 4 clubs that are in close proximity now. Now, like Austin is kind of, there's a couple more clubs that pops up, and even in Albuquerque but it's not every day. You know what I mean? And I don't know about Austin, but it's not every day.
Have
you know
been
what I mean? Like New York, it's every day.
Have you worked Austin or Albuquerque? Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't done Albuquerque yet. I've been game to though, but I've done Austin. when I first started, I started in Houston, so I would drive down to Austin a lot for showcases and stuff like that. The industry always preferred going to Austin rather than Houston, which makes sense. It's just a more fun city. But yeah, I've done Helium, Cap City. Then there's the Creek and the Cave that used to be here in Long Island City. Now there's Mothership. I haven't done that one, but I think Joe's there this weekend, so he's going to be down in Austin just to plug his dates.
Wow. Now, will he come if he's on stage? Will he come running home when the baby is due?
Yeah, I think after I film my special, he and I are just taking time off until the new year, and then probably fitting an occasional spot here and there in the city, but we'll take some time off.
The girl singer in my band, she's 6 months pregnant, and she just she's done until Memorial Day now, which is and I pointed to you. I said, "This girl's still working." And she's like beyond 6 months, and she's going to be like 9 months when she's doing her special. I mean, you could work a little longer and come back a little sooner.
Yeah, I hope I'm not making a bad example. I mean, I do look forward to the time off. Some people, you do get tired, but I mean, I'll just pull the curtain a little bit on stand up. A lot of the times, like, there's enough time during the day to kill or to rest up before you have to hit the stage, and it's only like 15 minutes in the city, so you're not really.
Yeah.
If I was like working the back line at a restaurant, yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, but she's just singing, and she's just singing, and she doesn't sing the whole night. She's one of several singers. Maybe she sings, I don't know,
yeah,
10 songs a night. Not real work. It's not really, you know. I don't want to perpetuate that myth that people in show business don't really work, because it, you know.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not work that's going to cause you to go into labor early. Right. I think is what your point is. It's not strenuous.
Yeah, doing stand-up is not super strenuous.
Right.
But you talk to every girl that's pregnant. Each pregnancy is so different from the other. Like, I feel like I've been pretty mild, and I'm still miserable. Like, first trimester was awful, but after that, I was like, everything's fine.
Right. Now, I first found out about you through social media, and it's just kind of like a talking out of both sides of my mouth, because I talk often about how social media is ruining it for comedians, because it's ruining the fact that your job used to be to go to the club, make people laugh for an hour, meet and greet if you do, maybe sell some merch, and then go home. Now you have to do that and then go home and work on your reels, unless you're wealthy enough to hire a social media person to do all that for you. And it just made the job harder, but you use it very effectively in gaining a wider audience. That's how I became a fan of you and started following you, is through those reels. But that double-edged sword of it, yes, you can gain a larger audience, but it's so much extra work. Where do you fall on me talking out of both sides of my mouth on that?
Oh, well, it's definitely something that I feel like most comics did not want to deal with. I think we want to go back to like the 70s, where you could just go on stage and some manager would just discover you, where that's not happening anymore. Like, it's a full-time administrative job, and then like the stand-up is like 5% of it.
Right. Yeah. It's everybody discovers there's an element of the job, no matter what you do in life. If you're following a passion, something you're passionate about, you're happy to get that job, but then you always find out there's part of it that sucks. But comedy seems to have a whole extra life attached to it that sucks. Now is that this managing your career and your growth through social media and public relations and all that kind of stuff. It's just, and there are no. Again, you've done the late night shows, but I didn't find out about you through the late night shows. I found out about you through reels on Facebook and Instagram and that kind of stuff, and YouTube. So,
yeah. We talk about that a lot. Like, now it's like, even doing the special, where like we're really just doing specials so we can cut them up for real. Like, Doing the Tonight
That's what it
Show
seems
doesn't
like.
break you anymore. You can do some of these independent shows that have a 4K camera or now 8K that, you don't need to have these gatekeepers go back and forth for months on your set. You can just do it and put it online and then see, and you can break from one bit rather than a whole set.
Right.
Right.
Now, going back to the late night stuff, you have done the late night stuff. It's hard for me to imagine seeing when I watch your work to see any of the material that you do that would pass through the producers who were saying, "What are you going to do on the show tonight?" And if you showed them your material, I mean, I can pick out maybe 2 jokes that I've ever seen you do that would get past those guys. How did you how did you manage that?
Well, what you put on reels is quite different than what you do in your set.
I know, but I've
Um,
seen your whole set too. I mean, what you have out there, and you work pretty dark and pretty blue, and
well,
well,
you cut off a few tags. Usually the premise is clean. I have one punchline that can be clean, and then that's it. And then it's a short set. They're only 5 minutes, so you can squeeze. I have quite a bit of clean. I just get rewarded with the dirty and the dark.
yeah. Is it difficult because you are cutting out some of the parts of your act? Is it difficult getting the audience response and the energy the same because you're a little bit watering it down is what you're really doing for the mass public on late night? Is it difficult to stand up there and do that with that audience being kind of cold like that?
No, because I feel like you do it so much, and then you run that set for a good few weeks before you go up that it's not like anything unusual, and you get the rhythm down. So I don't think it's that difficult. The only annoying part is just like the back and forth with the booker, because sometimes they're they're not getting the bit, and then you have
Right.
to explain you can't fight for a bit, and I've won a few.
Yeah, that's so difficult when somebody is reading a stand-up piece and like this is what I'm going to do on the show, and then it doesn't sound funny because you're not adding the personality to it. Personality is so much part of a
Yeah.
comedian's bag. Like there are things that are just if you read them verbatim are just not funny. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why it always feels like joke driven stand ups do well on late nights, and personality ones have a harder time
yeah.
because you have
The
to be there in the moment for the personality driven comics.
Right, yeah, and energetically, I mean, it's very different. And I want to talk about this room. The Grove 34 in Astoria, where you're taping the specials. That's not a comedy club.
No,
Uh,
they do a lot of stand up events there, but they also rent it out for other stuff. But they have a brick wall, they have a good sound system. I like that they're 4 blocks away from where I live. So
yeah,
it's easy. And then they'll let me do whatever I want. So I don't have to worry about anything.
right. So, but energetically, there is a thing about a comedy club, the way it's set up, because there's a new comedy club out here in the Hamptons, which is more like a theater with the graded seating and stuff. And to me, the setup of a room is definitely comedy clubs were designed the way they are. I don't know if designed, but we fell into how they should be by a scientific, what do they call it? Natural selection, where what works best is people sitting in a dark room, feeling uncomfortable, not knowing the stranger who's touching you over there, all that kind of weirdness. And if you don't have that, the energy is different. So performing
Yeah.
for it.
No, I totally agree. There's some rooms where you're like, this room is just not made for stand up, and I don't know why we keep pushing it in here. But
Right.
Yeah.
we've been performing at Grove 34 for a while now, and I say that I really enjoy the way the laughs sound in that room. It's a good room.
Queens different than Manhattan as far as obviously it's different than Manhattan, but as far as comedy fans who attend shows in Queens, different.
Would say so. I feel like at least where I live in Astoria, Queens, it's very family driven. They're not going out at night. It's more like, I guess, like restaurants and coffee shops rather than like comedy clubs. So it's really, I feel like comedy's never really picked up here, but there are a few spaces, so it's getting a little bit better, and we have some, and that it's weird because we have a lot of great comics that live in Astoria.
Right. In Manhattan, though, you're going to get a lot of tourists, right?
Yeah, and that's
eh,
generally like most of the shows are that at least Friday, Saturday.
Wow. So now the tourists, are they, because I think maybe I think too much of myself here. I'm an old man and I can appreciate your humor, but I know my friends would, and people my age who would get really shocked, offended, whatever. They just the kind of material that you deliver might not really, at least for my stuffy old friends, the people who are my age who I grew up with, they wouldn't necessarily be able to handle it, I guess is the best way to put it. So, but in New
Right.
York, you're gonna get a certain, because a lot of the people who have money to travel and will come to New York are gonna be older. Any issues with that? Like old farts just not
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 really.
accepting.
I feel like people know what they're getting into when they come into a comedy club. I mean, on occasion you do, but then you're just kind of like, well, what did you expect? This is like
Right.
adult time.
Yeah. Topic of the day. Well, not the topic of the day worldwide, but on this show, we were talking about Hassan Minaj and the AP Associated Press fact checking a comedian. You have any thoughts on that? Because Dave Landau was kind of sympathetic to the because Hassan's comedy is politically driven and agenda driven, that they were somewhat okay with that. What are your thoughts on the
I
press
feel
fact checking?
okay. I understand like fact checking. Like when you say I talked to my friend recently, this just happened recently. Like those jokes didn't happen recently. Those happened like maybe a year ago or something. But I definitely do feel like what Hassan was doing is quite a bit different when he's involving real people and kind of, I would consider it lightly doxing them.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right.
That it's a nuance, and if you can't see it, I don't know. I don't think what he's doing is that great, but artistic license.
Yeah, well, and I really have a problem when the press feels like it's their job to out comedians. I mean, because every comedy show I go in, I don't expect the truth. I mean, I expect a personal truth about what's funny about the human condition, all that stuff that is relatable. But I don't want to hold somebody accountable to, did the chicken really cross the road, or you do make that up? He's still on one side of the road. That's not right.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's like, I think about stuff like you want to do stuff about your family, but then sometimes you're like they're character assassinations, and they have real jobs, and that's not fair to them. That could
I
held them
mean,
accountable. So like, that's not something that I'm wanting to do.
I get phone calls from my brother, my older brother, all the time. Like, what did you say about me this
Yeah.
morning? Because people who listen down in North Carolina will go back to him and say, "Oh, did you hear your brother said this about you on the radio?"
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like doing
Yeah.
that either. But I have diarrhea of the mouth. I
Of
just can't.
course.
I can't stop myself, and I've learned to stop trying to stop myself, because it's going to come out anyway, and I'm going to say bad things about people I love, and I'm sorry.
No, it
When
happens
I
in this
first
form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
when I first started doing comedy, I was doing like 4 different stories on how I lost my testicle, and none of them were true. Um, and one of them, I blamed, like I had said that my sister threw my birthday present outside, and I went out and like, because it's my birthday present and I was a kid, I ran outside to get it, and she locked me out of the house. And so I say that I sat on the steps and waited for my parents to come home and literally froze my nut off. And when I like, it's a completely bogus story. I say I lost it when I was like 12, which means I lose aspects of the joke that I usually like to tell. But my sister got all bent out of shape that I told this false story about her. And I would like, it's just, but
So
like it.
when you
yeah.
started telling the truth, did the cop get offended that, or whoever you were in the shootout with that shot your ball off?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot of people that I don't have contact with the people that were involved the day I got shot.
Yeah, yeah.
If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. We don't really keep in touch, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Right. Well,
Well, I do know that when you do specials, if you name a name, they will do a background check. And a lot of times they won't let you name that name if it's not a true story.
wow,
interesting,
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
interesting.
Now,
I did not know that.
Joe just did this, and it looks like you're doing this, is taking control of your own special. In the old days, because I had Robert Klein, who did the first HBO special. He's the inventor of the term comedy specials. And in those days, when he did his very first one, HBO came to him and said, here's $60,000, deliver us a show in a month or whatever. And he was responsible for that. But then they took all the proceeds from it, and so he got paid up front. You're doing it seemed like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but that you are the executive producer and the content owner of your own special, right?
Yeah, this time around, I am working with a record label or like a comedy album company. They're gonna do the audio, but the video, that will be all mine on my own channel. I mean, it's Joe's helping me out also financially with it, so I can also say he's also an executive producer.
All right, well, but it's all in
It's
the
a
family.
family affair, yeah.
Right. But the part of now what I was saying before, not only have you be a social media person, but now you also have to be like a business management person. All that, it's not what the job comedian is supposed to be. Any disillusionment or feeling like, this isn't what I signed up for, and frustration with that ever?
Well, I feel like putting the social media reels, I can find that quite annoying. Who wants to watch that much video of yourself every day? Like, I start to hate myself and want to leave nasty comments on my YouTube channel after editing. I'm just joining in on with the incels on there. But like, I actually enjoy the whole production of doing the special. Like, I'm also making my own set design to keep budget down, but I have ideas.
Very cool.
I'm working on my graphic design. I have a graphic designer helping me with the image that I want to use. So I like doing the overall production, and it's like planning a wedding. It's fun.
That's nice. I guess that's nice. For me, I would hate to have to do it. It would feel
Right,
like
it's a
work.
matter of perspective, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to work. This is my problem. I am extremely lazy. I think that's why this is what I do, because all I have to do is stumble into a chair and sit there and talk and not
Yeah.
necessarily say anything that means anything to anybody.
But then you get in trouble with your brother. So
Yes.
it is
But
work.
he's gonna die soon anyway.
Yeah. So
So
fuck it.
yeah, fuck it. But so am I. This is the problem we're in. It's like I think we both don't want to be the last to go. We want
Yeah.
the other one, and so it's like we're at a race to death.
Yeah. I feel like, but that will keep you guys alive way longer because now you have a reason to live.
Right. I have a reason to die,
Yeah.
but but it's not working out. It is working against the ultimate goal of being the first one to die.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Now, talk to me about. We've talked to Katie about your lady journey. Is that what it is? Lady journey? I'm saying
Yeah.
that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Lady Journey.
now, it's not always ladies on the show, though. You have male guests, right?
Yeah. We do say Lady Journeys are open to men. We do feel like even Joe Rogan goes on Lady Journey with the amount of self-care he's into, of
Yeah.
ice baths and
Right.
Wim
Yeah. Yeah.
Hof.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are lady journeys to us as well. So there are men out there that do lady journeys, but really we kind of started the podcast because we wanted to make fun of, like, we kind of say that we're like the working woman's Goop, like Gwyneth Paltrow's kind of lifestyle blog that she has, but it's more attainable. And we just kind of make fun of that culture because we're forever trying new things, thinking that that's the new way of our life. And then we quit it about a week later and never talk about it again.
So the isolation bath stuff, that would be considered lady journey stuff?
I put that under the category of self-care. It's no different than wearing a sheet mask.
Yeah. And he gets pretty obsessive about it too.
Yeah.
I don't okay, I
think that's what kind of tips your opinion that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I don't think that's the reason that Rogan or some guys do. Guys wouldn't do it. They do it for the
no, he has no idea. He's clueless as to what a lady journey he's on. I would say.
I don't know. He has no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
But he is our ultimate goal to get on. But we just joke about it. Kind of like when Rosie O'Donnell joked about having Tom Cruise on.
You know, he's only like 4'1".
Yeah. So we can take him.
But yeah, so he's into it for the trip. Like he'll take DMT and get into the isolation tank, and so that kind of stuff. That makes it a total guy experience. I mean, I'm just trying to protect my own.
Girls do drugs too.
Yeah, but okay, but guys will do it just for the trippiness of it, not necessarily.
Ian's got a great comment here. He says the sensory deprivation tanks are as girly as getting in a tanning booth.
Never been in a tanning booth. I have done the isolation stuff. It kind of freaked me out.
You've done a deprivation.
Yeah.
Or where you're in that bath or whatever that suspends you. Yeah.
See, the problem is I have extreme tinnitus. And the ringing in my ears became so loud in that situation that I scared myself between my ears. It was really, this is it. I'm going nuts. This is how, I don't know. Every crazy psycho person died. This is how Edgar Allan Poe died, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So now, after the baby's born, do you have any idea how long you're going to take off for to resume, or you're not going to be a stay-home mom, are you?
I think I'll probably try to venture out in the new year, and I travel with Joe occasionally. I'll feature so I can work on new material. So we might do that as a family fair for a little bit. Cool. I'll do some occasional spots if I can fit it in around the city, but I think I might just have to pivot to being like, for a while, a content creator, just doing jokes at home and making sketches, just to keep social media up. And I enjoy that. So I don't mind taking a break from, hitting the pavement with stand-up.
Right. Do you know what gender, have you done the gender thing?
It's a boy. It's a boy.
You think odds are 90 to 100% that he's going to be a comedian?
I have no idea, but I do have to say kids are a lot funnier than most stand-ups. So they are naturally funny. We'll just hope that he keeps it going forward, but we'll see.
Oh, well, you hope that because I know a lot of musicians who they try to steer their kids away from growing up to be in the life. I've never really talked to a comedian about that, but
just a backup plan would be nice. That's all, a skill that's beyond stand-up. That's all you need. But like everything else is a shit show, so why not do what you like?
Right.
And the world we're evolving into is so scary that I miss my youth. But I don't know if I'd want to be a youthful person in today's world because it's pretty scary. The future out there looks pretty dark to me. I don't know. I hate to say that to an expecting mother.
No, Joe has similar thoughts, but my take is like, yeah, it feels that way, but we're always doing like there's technological advances in that we're a lot healthier. People aren't dying in childbirth anymore. Like Joe Mackey has a great bit, and I don't know it word for word, so I wouldn't even bother to attempt it, but he addresses this, that I still think things are going to be better. And we adapt. We're really good at adapting.
Yeah. I think that we're as humanity as a whole, I think, is going to kind of go
He's
through
calling a
some
hole.
evolutionary thinking,
Don't ever call humanity a hole.
and we'll be all right.
Yeah.
We have to say goodbye to Gov's Comedy Clubs. We are on Gov's Comedy Clubs till
My Gubs.
this time of day every day, and now coming up on Gov's.
Yeah, about
Knock
8
'em
minutes
Dead
late.
Comedy, except for last week when we overran. Why am I 8 minutes late? Well, they still have 7 minutes before the show has to start. Knock 'em Dead Comedy starts in 7 minutes.